for the UHY LLP Township Auditors for Wednesday, October 11th, 2023 at 7 p.m. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, roll call attendance for me, please.
Keith?
Here.
Lynn?
Here.
Mary Agnes?
Yes.
Sherry? Here. Tom's absent.
Okay. He's just probably running late because Lynn did talk to him, so. All right, the agenda approval is for a special meeting held to debrief the Township Board and any public, but no public, to the state of the financial condition of Cottrellville Township as of year ending March 31st, 2023. We usually have a Mr. Paul Bailey with us, who is the managing partner, but we have Mrs. Tammy Pitzer, who is one of the senior auditors, and she's been with our account for many, many years. We welcome her to Cottrellville Township. You passed out all of these financial reports. We'll let you do your explanation and dog and pony show.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. So I passed out this year's audited financial statements. Now remember, this is as of March 31st of 2023. So if you want to turn in past the table of contents, you will see the independent auditor's report. It's on page 1. And it has UHY's letterhead on the top of it. This is the only really set of financial statements, this independent auditor's report, that's UHY's. The rest of the financial statements are representative of the township itself. And you'll read through this. This is boilerplate language, but bottom line is what it says is that the township has an unmodified or a clean opinion. So that's the best type of opinion that you can have, and that's the opinion that everybody strives for. So that's a good thing. You turn it back past the independent auditor's report. Pages 4, 5, 6, 7. This is the management discussion and analysis letter, or MD&A letter. This is required in order to have that unmodified or clean opinion. And basically what this does is it summarizes some of the key points that are in the financial statements. Management's reviewed this and came to the conclusion that it's all accurate and reflects what's reported in this audit report.
Tammy, can you pull that mic just a little bit closer for you?
Sure.
Okay.
Better? So then let's turn back to page 8. This is the statement of net position. So if you were to look at the township as if it were a commercial entity or a business, the bottom of the page, right-hand side, the township would be worth as of March 31st of 2023, about $6,730,887. And what this does is it takes all of the fund statements that are reported in the financial statements and combines it with all the assets that the township owes and all of the liabilities that need to be accounted for through the township. If we turn to pages 9 and 10, this is the statement of activities, or this would be like an income statement if you were a commercial entity. On page 10, 3/4 of the way down, middle of the page, your change in net position. So basically what this says is on the commercial way of looking at it, the township would have made $208,527 for the year. But this isn't the set of financial statements that most people are used to looking at. Most people look at the fund statements. So that starts on pages 11 and 12. And they're broken up with the major funds of the township, which are the general fund, the fire fund, the garbage fund, and then the CARES Act fund. And then there's another column that's representative of all other governmental funds of the township. This balance sheet shows the assets, the liabilities, any deferred inflows of resources that the township has, and then breaks down the various different types of fund balances. So the very first column, the general fund, it shows as of March 31st of 2023, the general fund had a fund balance of $888,423, of which $11,659 was a non-spendable prepaid expenditure, so that's been pulled out of the fund balance, which left an unassigned or undesignated fund balance of $876,764. Next to that column is the fire fund. They, at March 31st, had prepaid expenditure non-spendable fund balance of $33,537, which left a restricted for fire purposes fund balance of $14,827. The third column over, the garbage fund, as of March 31st, had a restricted for garbage collection of $280,084. And then the CARES Act fund, that had a non-spendable prepaid fund balance of $14,305. And then we can talk about these other funds once we flip through the financial statements. Page 14 and 15, this is representative of the statement of revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund balance, or it's like an income statement. So what it does is it shows how much revenue was brought in throughout the year, and then it reduces the revenue by the expenditures for the year, and then any transfers in or transfers out to give you what your change in fund balance for the year was. So very first column, once again, the general fund had a net of change in fund balance, revenues over expenditures of $162,311. The fire fund had a positive revenue over expenditures of $7,955. The garbage fund was also positive, $2,524. And your CARES Act fund was a positive $14,305. And once again, we'll talk about these other governmental funds once we flip to the back. Page 17 is your statement of net position. And basically what this is the balance sheet for your water and sewer funds. In the back of the financial statements, you'll see that you do have 3 different water funds that are combined for financial statement purposes in the front of the statements, and then you also have 3 different sewer funds that are combined for financial statement purposes. So in total, your water fund had assets of $4,567,505, liabilities of $1,227,333, which left net position, and it was $3,340,172. And you'll see that that is broken up into 3 different categories. Your net investment and capital assets, which represents your total property, plant, and equipment less accumulated depreciation, and then less any debt that would be attributable to it of $2,266,300. You have money set aside restricted for debt service or capital replacement of $500,035, which leaves an unrestricted net position of $573,837. The next column over is your sewer fund. Once again, you had total assets of $2,596,743. You had liabilities of $1,917,937, which left a net position of $678,806. Broken up into the same categories, your net investment and capital assets of $28,250, restrictions for debt service or capital replacement of $45,000. It left a unrestricted net position of $605,556. On page 18, this is the statement of revenues, expenses, and changes in net position, or your income statement. Operating revenues, expenses, other non-operating revenues and expenses, and transfers for the year. So your water fund had a total change in net position of a negative $138,198. But you also need to take in mind that that does represent depreciation expense, which is shown up above, a $96,313. So that's a non-cash transaction, which is required to be booked on your fixed assets. And then your sewer fund had a change in net position of a negative $19,977. And once again, that covers a depreciation of above of $9,593. We'll flip in to page 20. Page 20 is your custodial fund or your tax collection fund. So at the top of the page, it shows as of March 31st, the fund itself only had $767 in cash in the bank account. Down below that, it shows the statement of changes in net position, your additions and your deductions. So this is all the tax revenue that you're collecting for other municipalities. This does not include what's collected for the Cottrellville Township. So you'll see that $4,135,327 went through the tax fund this year, not including what came through for Cottrellville Township. The next set of financials here are the notes to the statements. So they go on for quite a few pages. I won't go through them individually unless somebody has a question or would like me to. Page 35 is your general fund activity, and it's just broken out into more detail than what we looked at up in the front. It gives a original budget, amended budget, an actual column, and then the variance from budget to actual. And then pages 36 and 37 gives the same type of information for your other three major funds, the fire fund, the garbage fund, and the CARES Act fund. On page 38, these are the other non-governmental funds that I mentioned, non-major governmental funds that I mentioned earlier that are presented in total in the front of the financial statements. So this really includes 5 other funds of the township: the Cherry Beach Lighting Fund, the Parks Fund, the Police Fund, the Roads Fund, and this year there was a new ambulance fund that was accounted for. So you'll see that the Cherry Beach Lighting had a total fund balance of $369. The Parks Fund, $75,076. The Police Fund, $65,231. The Road Fund, $173,377, and the Ambulance Fund, $57,931. On page 39 is your combining statement of revenue, expenditures, and changes in fund balance for those 5 funds. This starts off with the revenues, less the expenditures, any transfer in to get a change in fund balance for the year. So your Cherry Beach Lighting Fund had revenue over expenses of $38 for the year. The Parks Fund had revenue over expenditures of $6,618. The Police Fund had revenue over expenditures of $17,433. The Road Fund was a positive $48,251, and the Ambulance Fund was a positive $57,931. The next couple of pages, 40 and 41, this is the activity for the original budget, amended budget, actual, and variance for those 5 funds that we just talked about. Page 42, this gives more detail of your water funds. I'd mentioned that there were 3 of them. So you have your water operating fund, you have District 2A and Districts 3 and 4. So this is combined in one column in the front of the financial statements. Same information, only it's broken out between the 3 different funds. And the same thing on page 43 for your combining schedule of revenue, expenses, and change in net position. Page 44 is your sewer fund operations. This is new this year. You've always had your sewer operation fund, but this year you were required to set up a 2022 capital construction fund and a debt retirement fund because of a loan that you have. So this, once again, is combining the 3 funds together and shown in total in the front of the financial statements. So that's pretty much the financial statements. Any questions on any of the numbers, or would you like me to go through any of the notes?
Looks pretty good.
It does look good. Now, this was filed with the state of Michigan on time before September 30th of 2023. And we do have one more audit that we are in process with. It's called a single audit, and that's because the municipality received greater than and expended greater than $750,000 of federal funds, and that was mostly because of your new loan that you brought in. So we had to do a single audit this year. So that's in process, and that's not due to the state until December 31st. So we've got a little bit of time to get that completed, but we are in the process of trying to get it done so that it's done and over with and we can get out of your hair. So with that being said, there are 2 letters that were issued with the financial statements. The first one is the auditor's report, independent auditor's report on internal control over financial reporting and on compliance and other matters based on the audit of financial statements performed in accordance with government auditing standards. We've issued this letter in the past, but we haven't audited under government auditing standards in the past because a single audit wasn't required. So this letter is going to be a little bit different than what you're used to seeing, only because we had to issue it under the governmental auditing standards because of the single audit. There were 3 findings this year. Once again, they're going to look familiar. They're only in a different format because we had to issue it under the government auditing standards. The first one being that you rely basically on the auditors to draft the financial statements, which is very common in municipalities. I'd say probably 95% of our municipalities have us draft the financial statements. The second finding is a lack of segregation of duties. And this occurred because your accountant turned treasurer. And so at that time, she had multiple duties that she was doing, so we had to write that up, that there was a lack of segregation of duties at that time. And then the third item we've had in the financial statements in the past too, and this has to do with splitting out the activity for your water special assessment districts 2A and districts 3 and 4, which I believe Maryland's already started the process of trying to sort through those. Any questions on any of that? And then there's one more letter. This is the audit communication letter. This is the letter that if we weren't to come to the board, this is our correspondence with the board. And basically what it does is it goes through and highlights a couple of the key areas that are issued in the financial statements. It talks about how much was insured and uninsured in your cash balances, uncorrected and corrected misstatements in the financial statements. Management were required to sign a management representation letter, which they did, basically telling us that they cooperated and told us everything that we'd asked for. So there is an attachment A to this letter. It's the 4th page back. And this does have 3 more items on it. These aren't internal control weaknesses or significant deficiencies. These are just suggestions for improvements. The first one being increasing the township fixed asset capitalization policy. Currently, the township's policy is $1,000, and we're recommending considering raising that up to $3,000 to $5,000. The second one has to do with adopting a budget, a formal budget for the ambulance fund, and then looking at the level that your other funds are being budgeted at. It's understanding that they're budgeted at the line item level, and really you could budget them at a higher department level. And then the third one is the chart of accounts. We flipped through the chart of accounts and it looks like the majority of the information complies with the new state chart of accounts. There's just a couple of areas, one being in the general fund, departments 851 and 852, that we've got to do away with and decide where we're going to put the information. It has to do with fringe benefits and township insurance.
Oh, okay.
Yep. And then the very last page
When do we start getting fringe benefits?
it's payroll taxes.
Oh, payroll taxes, okay.
The last 2 pages of the letter, these are your summary of unadjusted audit differences. And what these pages represent, this is the year that the township was required to adopt the new leasing standard. So you have a copy machine, you have a postage meter. The leases on those are very small. Instead of recording them in the financial statements as a right-to-use asset and a corresponding liability and tracking them every year, we've just put them on this past adjustment sheet. So really what we're saying is that your general fund or governmental activities, your assets are understated by $20,509, but your liability, corresponding liability, is also offsetted by the $20,509. Any questions on any of that?
I have a question on one of the notes,
Okay.
the note 3,
Mm-hmm.
and then looking at the audit communication letter,
Yep.
the very last paragraph.
Yes.
What page are you on?
Sorry, the notes, page 28.
Yep.
Oh, 28, okay.
So it's showing the deposits and the amount of that is insured.
Mm-hmm.
So it's showing a remaining balance of $2,309,000 uninsured and unfulfilled.
Right.
These letters showing only $1 million of that uninsured.
You're right, there is a,
What is the correct amount and what is standard for having those funds insured?
well, I'm not going to say which one is correct. I'll get back to you with that if that's okay. I want to double check our work papers. But you're right, there is a discrepancy here. And I don't know if you remember offhand, Lynn. I'll have to take a look at that. But it's not uncommon to have a larger amount that's uninsured. And what this has to do with is the municipality is allowed to have FDIC insurance $250,000 for checking accounts, and then another $250,000 for savings and CDs in a financial institution. So when a municipality is investing money, they would have to spread out their investments to quite a few different banks in order to maintain that higher level of FDIC insurance.
Mhm.
So as long as the municipality is looking at like a star rating at the banks to see that the banks are financially sound, then it really isn't a cause or a reason for concern if that uninsured level gets higher.
Okay.
But I
That's been
will,
in effect for a long, long time, yeah,
right,
All these banks around here are
FDIC.
They're- right.
insured, right?
yep. And you just want to make sure that you're looking on the bank's website, looking at the star ratings to make sure that the levels are still high.
That's only 1 million of that 3 million is insured. Should it be spread out between more accounts and more banks? I don't know.
We don't have a lot of choices around here,
True.
that's the only thing.
And that's a decision that you have to make, because the more that you spread it out, the little bit more work it is to try to maintain it, and more reconciliations to do. So if you feel comfortable with the financial institutions that you're with, you just want to keep an eye on to make sure that they're still financially sound. If you see that level dropping, then you might want to, become a little bit more concerned and decide if you want to start transferring funds to other
Well, you
financial
look over
institutions.
a lot of municipalities along this river. If you ever hear of anything, you just,
Oh, for sure.
Let
There
us
was probably, I don't know, I'm going to date myself, maybe 10 years ago, there was a bank in Port Huron that ended up,
Citizens?
yes, that ended up going out of business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we tried to warn people when we found out that you might want to take another look. We can't just say, hey, this is what's going on, but
Right, I
you might want to just take another look.
I remember that.
Put it in your mattress.
Right. But I will definitely get back to you and let you know which one of these numbers which one is correct for the insurance wise. But that's a good catch.
Yeah, good catch there, Keith.
Any other questions?
No, I was always told to start reading these in the notes.
Very good. Tom, are you okay?
Yep.
Okay. Is there anything you have any questions on?
No.
All right, then I think what we'll do is thank you
It's
for
kind of
coming.
like reverse numbers.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too, but I don't want to say until I have the
Yeah.
work paper in front of me and I
With the
can
250,000
confirm it.
being the FDIC insurance limit per a bank or account, I would think that the 1 million insured is probably the right number.
That's what I'm leaning towards, but I don't want to confirm that until I take up the.
Okay. All right, well, we thank you very much for your trip down here and your patience with me
Oh,
and everyone that works on this stuff with you.
you and your team are always very patient with us too. I know we ask a lot of questions, we ask for a lot of different supporting items, and everybody is real quick to respond, so it makes our job a little bit easier.
So tell me about the single audits, what does that kind of entail, how much?
The single audit, if the municipality expends, so if you spend more than $750,000, it's based on spending, not revenue, then you're required to have a single audit. And when we were in doing the audit, we were looking at your new loan that you received for the sewer project that's going on. And that loan it's kind of funny, the way that it's dispersed, because it's paid out of two different pots. So we talked about it when we were here. When you do receive a disbursement, you'll also get a letter with it to say, this was paid out of federal funds or this was paid out of non-federal funds. And when we scheduled it out, there was 900 and some thousand that was paid out of federal funds. So that took you over the 750,000. Plus you used a little bit of your CARES Act money this year, which that's also considered federal money. And then the siren portion that was donated by the county, that was paid out of their CARES Act money. So we had to bring that into as a little bit.
Difference.
So you were just a little over $1 million in federal expenditures this year. So that's what triggered the single audit. So we're gonna have to keep
So
track.
how detailed are they going to get then? I mean,
I think Yoki, she sent out a request already for some of the items that we're gonna be testing. So we're just gonna be looking at controls on the invoices. So
okay,
we're looking at canceled checks. So you
Yeah.
requested the checks, we're gonna be looking for 2 signatures on the checks. So it's more control testing, basically, is what we're doing. She's gonna look at cash management. So she's gotta make sure that when the money was requested and when it was spent, that there wasn't a lag of time that you weren't sitting on the cash and earning excess income on the cash when it was paid over. There's procurement items that she's looking at, but your engineer was able to send over a lot of information in regards to procurement. So there's different items that are required for that grant, and there's a compliance supplement that kind of guides us and tells us what that grant requires. So that's what the single audit's all about. So going into next year, somebody's going to track those disbursement letters so that we know from the get-go how much of it's considered federal and how much is considered state.
No, I think Michelle keeps them.
Oh, Michelle?
Michelle.
Okay, very good. Any other comments or questions from our board? I guess we're done then. We need a motion for adjournment, please, at 7:26.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Motion carried. Thank you very much. We'll call the meeting to order for the Cottrellville Township Board, regular meeting for Wednesday, October 11th, 2023. It is 7:30 p.m. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, roll call, please.
Tom,
Here.
Mary Agnes,
Here.
Lynn, here, Keith,
Here.
Sherry, here.
Okay, we have agenda approval. On top of what we have here, I have a few things to add in new business under F, 6, 7, 8, and 9. 6 is utility billing adjustment for a resident whose grandson left the water running in the yard when he was helping the flowers for 3 days. The request for payment for project control engineering, one for $16,380 that's dated October 10th, so it would be for June. And then there's one for $10,210 that's for the pump station rehab. There's also a request for adoption of a resolution. It was number 2023-07. It's regarding offering an early voting for the 9 days prior to the state and federal elections, and the 3 options are clerks requesting to utilize number 2, enter into a municipal agreement and jointly conduct early voting with one or more other municipalities in the same county. And we are considering entering an agreement with IRA. There's number 9 is a request by Justin Sears, who is the Director of Equalization at the county, and he's offering a proposed county-provided service agreement to all cities and townships of St. Clair County for an annual fee of $1,000 per year for a 6-year commitment for the years 2024 and 2027 for aerial imagery over our township area and the cost that would be shared with the whole county. So those are the extra things. So if we can approve the agenda as presented with those 4 items, I need a motion to do so.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Keith. All right, all in favor signify by saying aye. By roll call vote, please.
Tom,
Yes.
Mary Agnes.
Yes.
Keith,
Yes.
Lynn,
Yes.
Sherry, yes.
Okay. The next item is the consent agenda. The approval of the Township Board meeting minutes for Wednesday, September 13th, and special board meeting that was held on Wednesday, September 27th. I don't know, Keith, did you get your second set of minutes?
Yeah, his are in there.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, very good. The second special board meeting was for an IFT application that was requested by Sun Station Boats. They're moving out of Clay Township and into Cottrellville. There's also approval of treasurer's reports, reconciliation of the tax account number 3905 for August, reconciliation of general checking 5667 as of August 31st, cash summary report, the general fund as of August 31st, and Cottrellville Township investments report as of August 31st. Under approval of clerk's reports, we have the revenue and expenditure report, periods beginning September 1st and ending September 30th, 2023. There's approval of paychecks, payroll dates from September 1st through September 30th, gross total amount of $29,450.98, and they are paychecks number 3547 through 3573. The approval of accounts payable, $41.92 in the opens, paid from September 1st through September 30th. There's 40 checks in the already paids of $572,146.79, and the check numbers are 21,811 through 21,850. The third item is the 5 tax disbursements, $1,898,649.55. And the last item is the grand total of the payables and the tax disbursements, a total of 45 checks, $2,470,796.34. Under correspondence, we have the Marine City Area Fire Authority runs for September, and the Ira Township runs that are included in the part of Cottrellville that they take care of as of September 2023. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
All in favor signify by saying aye by roll call vote, please.
Keith?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Mary Agnes?
Yes,
Lynn?
Yes.
Sherry? Yes.
motion carried. Thank you very much. The next item is open for anyone that wants to address the board regarding agenda items at this time. And since we only have one lady in the audience, we're going to go on. Unfinished business, none. And the new business for number one is a request by St. Clair County Public Works for an interest payment due on November 1st in the amount of $15,281.25. This is on the St. Clair County Water Supply System number 12, bond issue series 2009. It's also known as Water Districts 3 and 4. Check to be made payable to the St. Clair County Department of Public Works prior to October 13th for the grand total of $15,281.25. Make this in a timely fashion. Number two, the attached, well, we gotta do that one first, all right.
Yeah. I'll make the motion.
I'll support. All in favor signify by saying aye by roll call vote, please.
Tom?
Yes.
Lynn?
Yes.
Keith?
Yes.
Mary Agnes?
Yes.
Sherry? Yes.
Okay. Motion carried. Thank you very much. There's attached article was provided by Assessor Barb Schutt to our township and board members in case any of you are interested in attending an understanding of the basics of assessing for local unit officials training session. This came from the Michigan Department of Treasury, and there's no cost to attend, but you must register before October 20th, and it's being held in Okemos Conference Center in Okemos, Michigan on Monday, October 30th from 8 to 5 p.m. Please contact the clerk's office if you're interested. And we don't need any action on that. Number three is St. Clair County Metropolitan Planning Commission is holding a 2023 fall workshop on Tuesday, October 24th from 6 p.m. to 9:15 p.m. in the Don Dodge Auditorium in the St. Clair County Administration Building. Please complete the workshop paper if you're interested and advance knowledge of your Planning Commission duties. If the township will pick up the $20 cost per person if you register timely. I don't know that we need to act on that either, but there's money in the budget if they need to, if they want to go to school for the day. Number four is request for payment for the township attorney invoices in the total amount of $459 payable to Garen, Lukow, and Miller PC for services rendered from August 1st through August 30th, 2023.
I'll make that motion.
I'll support. All in favor signify by saying aye by roll call vote, please.
Tom?
Yes.
Keith?
Yes.
Marilyn?
Yes.
Mary Agnes?
Yes.
Sherry? Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you very much. Request for payment. No, I did that. Bids request for the steam cleaning of the ceramic tile and the vinyl in the storage room and kitchen area of the Township Hall. 2 contractors were contacted. Stanley Steamer bid came in at $612, and ServPro Incorporated advised that they were declining to bid the request because they are overloaded with work at this time. So if you still want to continue, it would have to have a motion to approve this $612 for Stanley Steamer.
I'll make that motion.
I'll support. All in favor signify by saying aye. By roll call vote, please.
Keith,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Mary Agnes,
Yes,
Lynn,
Yes.
Sherry, yes.
motion carried. Thank you very much. The next item is the add-ons. Request for utility billing adjustment for Mrs. Suzanne Mahoney at 475 Little Street in the amount of $59.20. It's a sewer charge for water that, when the grandson left the hose running for 3 days, and it ran out on the ground, it did not enter our sewer. The figure was determined by Deputy Clerk Michelle Apt to be $59.20. Do we want to give this lady a break?
I'll make a motion to give her a break.
I'll support. All in favor signify by saying aye. By roll call vote, please.
Lynn,
Yes.
Keith,
Yes.
Mary Agnes.
Yes,
Tom,
Yes.
Sherry, yes.
motion carried. Thank you very much. The next item is number 7, request for payment for project control engineering on invoice 21-246-23 in the amount of $16,380. It's dated October 3rd, and then the invoice, another invoice was dated 9/5. I believe that that's already been written out of today's, the check just came in from the bank. They wired the money into the account, so she'll probably take care of that if it hasn't been taken care of already this morning.
It's already in the mail.
It's already in the mail? Check's in the mail, huh? In the amount of $10,210 for pump station rehabs for 5 of them, engineering design, contract, administration, and inspection. So, do we need a motion to approve payment for those?
I'll make a motion to pay project control.
I'll second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye. By roll call vote, please.
Keith,
Yes.
Lynn,
Yes.
Mary Agnes,
Yes,
Tom,
Yes.
Sherry, yes.
motion carried. The next item is going to probably have to be explained by our clerk. She's requesting an adoption of a resolution number R2023-07. It's regarding the offering of early voting for 9 days prior to statewide and federal elections. And there's 3 options, and our clerk is requesting to utilize number 2, which is enter into a municipal agreement and jointly conduct early voting with one or more other municipalities in the county. And that the Cottrellville Township is considering entering into a municipal agreement with Ira Township and to establish the Ira Township Hall located at 7085 Meldrum Road, Fairhaven, Michigan 48023, and that is for the location to vote. Why don't you give us a real quick, is there anything else you want to add to that, or
Well, no, that,
does that, everyone understand what this is for? We voted this, I think, in November of last year.
yep.
It did not win in our township, but it did pass at the state level, so this just is giving people more chances to vote.
What
Yeah.
about the absentee ballot? Other than the absentee ballot?
Yes, other than the absentee ballot.
Yeah.
It will be 9 days prior to the election, 8 hours a day.
Is there
They
a
can go
cost
in
to
and
the
vote.
town, is there a cost to the township that we have to pay Ira?
No.
No?
You gotta pay our girls that are, or
Our
our
people that are working will be paid.
will be assigned to, I hope they're not gonna make them work 8 hours a day, but maybe
Yeah.
4-hour shifts.
Well, it all depends on how many people we can get to work.
Okay.
And, there are some people that,
And we need
Work.
election workers, so.
yeah, some people that.
And we have one in the audience.
They work
Can we put you down?
17
Okay.
17 hours in one election day, so 8 hours would be, a dream.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shall
Okay.
I
Still gonna
read
have
the
to say.
resolution?
Yes, would you please read the resolution?
Cottrellville Township, County of St. Clair, State of Michigan, resolution to establish an early voting plan for Cottrellville Township residents. Resolution number R202307. Whereas Michigan electors adopted proposal 2022-2 to amend the Michigan Constitution on November 8th, 2022, which in part requires each municipality to have at least one early voting site for statewide and federal elections to accommodate early voting, and whereas early voting consists of 9 consecutive days of in-person voting starting the second Saturday before the election and ending on the Sunday prior to the election with 8 hours of in-person voting each day. And whereas the Michigan Secretary of State offers 3 options to municipalities to accommodate voters for the 9 days of early voting. 1, enter into a county agreement and authorize the county to conduct early voting. 2, enter into a municipal agreement and jointly conduct early voting with 1 or more other municipalities in the same county. Or 3, offer early voting as a single municipality site. And whereas Cottrellville Township is considering entering into a municipal agreement with Ira Township and to establish the Ira Township Hall located at 7085 Meldrum Road, Fairhaven, Michigan, 48023 as the early voting site for all of Cottrellville and Ira Township's qualified registered voters. And whereas the established early voting site shall be open for in-person voting a minimum of 8 hours each day as set and scheduled for each statewide and federal election by the township's clerk's office for 9 consecutive days beginning on the second Saturday before the election and ending on the Sunday prior to the election. And whereas the township clerk's office is allowed and may set additional hours and/or days deemed necessary for early voting and may allow as deemed necessary early voting for an election that is not statewide or federal election within an approved budget made by the township board. And whereas early voting dates, times, and location will be posted sufficiently 45 days prior to each election to notify voters. And now therefore it be resolved that the Cottrellville Township Board of Trustees hereby authorize the Cottrellville Township Clerk to enter into a municipal agreement with Ira Township to jointly offer early voting to the qualified registered voters of Cottrellville and Ira Townships at the early voting site and to establish the Ira Township Hall located at 7065 Meldrum Road, Fairhaven, Michigan, 48023 as the early voting site for qualified registered voters of Cottrellville and Ira Townships for statewide and federal elections.
Okay,
Is the Ira Township Hall 7085 or 7065?
yeah, I saw that. I
Um,
think it's 8-5.
8-5.
If we could
Yeah.
just,
Can we make that
we could
correction?
just write it in. To approve
I
it
was just
with the
thinking, was it a
85?
different building that's right there, but
Yeah, that's probably the fire department or something. Okay,
Now, is that for 5 days a week? It says Saturday to Sunday, so we have to be there Saturday and
7
Sunday
days
too?
a week.
Yep, 7 days a week.
How many people do we have to have there?
Oh, we can
Gene
get-
and I are meeting next week to discuss how many people we have to have there, what we think. We don't think there's going to be a very big turnout, but we have to have the people there. I'm thinking 2 people from Ira and 2 people from Cottrellville. I can't imagine we're gonna have any
No,
huge lines. So,
I mean, it'd make it easier for voting, yes. It's a lot of aggravation for 7 days for a couple people.
it is. It is, but
You think we're gonna be able to find people to sit there for 7 days? 8 days?
it won't be the same people. They'll break it up and we really don't have a choice.
No?
No.
Oh, the state's making us do it?
Well, it was on the ballot and
Okay.
it
Well,
won.
that answered that question.
As I said, it didn't vote, it didn't fly in our township, but
Yeah.
did at the state level, so.
Yeah.
All right, well, I would so move to approve this resolution number R 2023-07.
a second.
All in favor signify by saying aye. By roll call vote, please.
Tom,
Yes.
Keith,
Yes.
Lynn,
Yes.
Mary Agnes,
Yes.
Sherry, yes.
Okay, the adoption is adopted, October 11th, 2023. Okay, and the last item on this additions is number 9. That is request by Justin Sears, who is Director of Equalization, to offer a proposed county-provided service agreement to all cities and townships in St. Clair County for one annual fee of $1,000 per year for a 6-year commitment for the years 2024 and 2027 for aerial imagery over our township area. They're gonna combine them so that it's cheaper to do everything at once and the cost to be shared by all of St. Clair County. I didn't understand a whole lot of it, but the way Barb explained it, she thinks it's gonna be a better, all the maps will be more consistent, so. And I agree that's, because even from year to year, this stuff looks different. So we need to entertain a motion to approve that.
It says one annual fee, but then it says for $1,000 a year.
It's an annual fee every year.
It's every year, so we're looking at $6,000.
Yeah,
But they're doing it annually, they're also,
yeah, it's every year they must be asking to collect some of it, because we just had ours done 22, didn't we? So this is for 24, so if they go every 2 years, you're getting it updated every 3 times in that 6 years. So,
So we're just paying for when they do it.
well, it'll be an annual thing, you'll get a bill every year, just like we do for drains. You probably won't,
Every other year, we're not getting nothing for $1,000.
yeah, every other year, yeah. Okay?
What is, they're just flying over, taking pictures, map,
Yeah, they take pictures.
Google? It says it's gonna be shared with all of St. Clair County,
Mm-hmm.
so if other townships don't do it, is it gonna be more?
Well, no, I think they just, if they don't get 100%, they probably won't let it fly. And
Oh.
everybody will just go back to doing it the way we're doing it now, which is,
Well, I think it would help with the assessing, and the property lines are really messed up on some of the programs.
Yeah.
Not very accurate.
no, they aren't.
If that'll help.
Are you putting that in the form of a motion, sir?
Sure.
Okay, we have a motion by Keith. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, and a second by Lynn. All in favor signify by saying aye. By roll call vote, please. Tom?
I'm gonna say no, just because $1,000 a year for one every other year, that we ain't gonna get nothing for it, but that's just me.
I don't remember what it costs to have a job, that's what I was trying to think.
I'm thinking the maps are running over $700. So it is slightly higher. But we don't get them every year. We only get them every other year.
I thought it was more than that to have them do the aerial every year, but they're doing the whole county, you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Do you want me to find out more information, and you want to table this, or you want to? I think they're going to have it voted on, let me see when the vote is going to take place at the county. I saw it somewhere. October 19th, they need an answer by.
Just a little confusing the way they got it. There's one annual fee, which I would think it'd be once,
Yeah.
but and it says 2024 and
6 annual
27,
fees.
so that looks like it looks like it's not gonna do it for two times over.
It's only 2 flights, yeah. It's over every 3 years.
So
Right
we're
now-
paying $3,000 for
What we're
3
doing,
years.
what we're doing now is paying it like every other year. So this is gonna probably end up being a little cheaper than,
What are we paying every other year now?
yeah, but
How
we
much
pay
else?
for our own maps and stuff. They take care of us individually.
So we dropped that and picked this up,
Mm-hmm.
and we're paying how much every other year?
Probably around, under 1,000, it's probably around 600, 700.
But the maps we get,
This year's are terrible. I keep using last year's because I can't follow how this works.
And this will be digital and more accurate.
Yep, Yep. Orthomosaic, whatever that means, in oblique aerial imagery. Do you want to wait till we have more information, but we won't get our vote in by the time? Unless I call everybody and ask you to,
Well, if you guys are good with it, then I'm just one person.
okay.
We can still get you costs, to have maps done and stuff like that from the other flights.
Yeah, but,
I would have liked to talk to Barb
Does-
about it, was my only thing, I didn't know this was coming. But,
well,
Barb's always explains things very well to me.
you want to continue with the?
Continue, okay. Mary Agnes.
Yes.
Lynn.
Yes.
Keith.
Yes.
Sherry. Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you very much. I think that's the end of our meeting. Do we have any public comments from the public? None? And there's no announcements? Board member comments?
The only thing I think maybe we should do quick, or let everybody know that we have to commit our rest of our funds. So if they have any idea of projects that they want to spend some of that federal funds on, we need to get some ideas,
To do more stuff?
yeah,
Okay,
because we have to have commitments by the end of the year, so
all right.
we're already into October.
Yep.
So if there's any other projects, like getting the rest of the park lined up and, because Tom looked at Clay Township and Ira Township's park, and they have that boarding
Oh, yeah,
that goes around it, and we decided not, but maybe, and they use it and it looks fine, and then get the other 6 inches or 12 inches of the mulch out there too. So we need to,
this is the border there on there, it's 2 pages. Don't mind the screen. We'll touch base with them, see if they've had any issues with it. It looks pretty durable.
Yeah.
Okay.
Reopen the mulch debate.
well, but I want to get it booked, because we,
Yeah.
by the end of December, to say, yes, next year come in,
Trying to
spend,
cut that.
spend money, and then look at getting the Edison in, maybe we can
Do something with power?
power to get into there. And I don't know if we have too many other ideas past that, but I haven't really had time to think.
What is it, infrastructure, communications?
You can spend it almost on anything.
Yeah.
So if there's projects that, we wouldn't normally spend it on, we need to kind of look at those now.
Yeah.
We still need ideas.
Yep.
Okay. Is there anything else anybody wants to talk about? Is this your last meeting?
I believe it'll be my last board meeting. I'll still attend the planning commission on the 18th.
Okay, so you still got it. All right, when you give
Did you
us
find a replacement?
a letter of resignation with the date on it, please.
I will.
You can't leave unless you have a replacement.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Well, that's what we did to you, didn't we? All right.
If it wasn't for having to live here, I'd keep going.
All right, then we need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion.
I'll support. All in favor signify by saying aye. 7:59.
Aye.
Aye.
Yes.